Thank you for listening to the BJJBrick Podcast. We'll be bringing you Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and good times. We hope to flatten your Jiu-Jitsu learning curve, help you get the most out of your grappling ability, and meet your goals both on and off the mat.
Welcome back, my friends, to the BJJBrick Podcast. This is episode 310. My name is Byron. I'm here with my good buddies Joe and Gary. This week we have an episode with Patricia Fontes. Guys, I'm excited about the show. Pati, amazing grappler, jiu-jitsu competitor, and just one of her accomplishments I'm really impressed with is her nogi. 2015, 16, and 17, back-to-back nogi world champion. Really awesome accomplishment there. 3 times in a row. But excited to bring you guys the interview with her. Joe, Gary, how are you guys doing?
Hot and muggy down here in southeast Louisiana, but I'm doing good. Glad to be on the horn with you guys this morning.
I don't think we're doing as good as you, Byron. You ate some crazy sandwiches this morning or something because you were fired up. I like it.
Crazy sandwiches. That's how crazy we get on the BJJBrick Podcast. One of us will engage in a crazy sandwich.
Yeah. But whatever it is, it's working, Byron.
Yeah, I think maybe
you are ready to go.
Maybe the turkey meat went a little bit old and is now altering things.
Nothing wrong with that. No. When you bring that kind of attitude, you're bringing. We like it.
Actually, I haven't had breakfast yet. I just ran a couple miles and hopped on here and getting ready to do this thing. So, yeah, I mean, with Pati here, it was a great interview, and I'm really excited to bring it to you guys.
Yeah, way to make me feel great. You know, I just woke up and drank a green tea, and you've already been out and ran a couple miles. Yeah, I feel really good about myself.
That's the way I wanted to bring it to you, Gary, all episode long. Make you feel great about what you're not doing.
Yep. I think I'm just going to do push-ups while I'm doing this show, just to make up for it.
Gary, I got something that'll make you feel better.
Let's hear it.
Okay. Share this with our listeners. We got a really great email from one of our listeners this week. Mark emailed in and said, hey, Byron, Joe, Gary, thank you for every episode of your wonderful podcast. When life is not easy, BJJ helped me get through difficult times. And when BJJ was not easy, your podcast helped me stay on the mat. That's one of the coolest things anybody's ever said as far as I'm concerned. And he goes on, without jiu-jitsu, or without you, I wouldn't have jiu-jitsu. Without jiu-jitsu, I would not be the person I am today. Also, congrats on your new logo. And Gary, congrats on your black belt. I think from now on, your body is classified as a lethal weapon. That part cracked me up. The listeners might not know, but a few years back, Gary had a side job as an entertainer for bachelorette parties, and his stage name was Lethal Weapon. So thanks, Mark, for this great email. Appreciate your support, and I'm glad you're still on the mats.
You know, I really had a good time, being Lethal Weapon and doing a little dancing on the side. You know, it's a good way to make money. But, you know, when I go back to my webpage that I made for Lethal Weapon and for my side job, I got a lot of reviews, and most of them said they have never known a snub nose to be a lethal weapon. So, I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, well, Gary, when you give yourself the title, it doesn't mean as much. But when somebody emails us in and assigns you that title, I think there's more meaning to that. So you might call this Lethal Weapon 2 as your journey continues.
I can start, and I think they got like 4 lethal weapons, so I can, resurrect this a couple different times.
Yeah, maybe you'll be a lethal weapon at shuffleboard in your care home,
or pickleball.
Yeah, that's big.
Yeah, yep, that's what she said.
Oh, Gary, let's leave the pickle out of it.
That's what she said.
Good one, Joe.
Gary got a lot of reviews on his website there back in the day, and we've got some great reviews on our audiobook, Your First Year of BJJ. And if you're in that first year, whether you're just starting, you're thinking about starting, or you're 6 or 9 months in, the audiobook is designed to help you out and get you going in the right direction and easier, kind of like Mark was saying, make it easy. And it's $11.99. The money goes to help support the show. And if you enjoy it, send us an email, bjjbrick@gmail.com, and let us know. It means a lot to us when we read those sort of things, and it's very motivating.
Byron, you kept talking about easy there. And that reminds me of a quote from another one of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Last week we had Michelangelo on. This week we have one from Leonardo da Vinci. And it is, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. Now, once again, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. I can't even say the word. But, what do you guys think about that quote there from one of our favorite turtles?
Yeah, officially, Leonardo was my favorite Ninja Turtle. He had the sword. That was cool. But the quote itself is simple.
Simple.
That's kind of cool. But, you think about jiu-jitsu or any sport, doing the basics is really, really important. And if somebody could do them very well, you could see at a black belt match somebody pull off an armbar from guard, or a guillotine choke, or take somebody's back and get a rear naked choke. Very simple things. And if you are able to get the timing down perfect and get your movements done just right, very simple movements, everybody understands what's going on, but there's a lot of sophistication going on kind of under the scenes.
Byron, I don't think I've ever said this to you before.
Oh, here we go. I'm nervous, Gary.
You won the internet with
that. Man.
I liked it. Sorry, Joe.
Well, wait a minute. There's a decent chance Joe's going to steal it away.
No, I'm not even going to try. That was the best explanation we've had for a simple quote. So.
Yeah, and it's crazy because it came from Byron. I would expect it from Joe, somebody with a little more intelligence, but I guess it was that crazy sandwich you ate, Byron.
Well, no, what happened was, Joe and I were discussing this quote in one of our without Gary chats, but we have all the time, and he really told me how to think about this quote. So thanks, Joe.
Yeah. Good job, Joe.
Plagiarism.
Joe said the exact same words, but Byron said it on air, so that's what counts.
Byron said it better.
Thank you, Joe. And thank you, Gary, for being generous with the award there.
Oh, you're welcome. Loser.
Well, guys, to let me off the hook a little bit here, and really excited about the interview with Pati. Here comes Pati Fontes.
He is the most interesting grappler in the world.
He credits most of his wins to maintaining eye contact with his opponent. His gi never smells, even after rolling with the stinky guy. He is often seen riding a unicorn to open mat. When he got his white belt, black belt traveled for hundreds of miles just to roll with him.
I don't always listen to podcasts, but when I do, I prefer the BJJBrick Podcast. Stay sweaty, my friends.
All right, my friends, I'm happy to bring Pati Fontes to the BJJBrick Podcast. Pati, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Hello, guys. How are you?
Hey, we're doing great. We're excited to have you here. You've got 3 black belt world titles at nogi and a lot of other accomplishments. Tell us a little bit about yourself, kind of who is Pati, and what are you up to?
Yes, I mean, this is pretty much what the title, why is my biggest titles were no-gis, 3 times black belts, 15, 16, and 17. I really like the no-gi, you can tell. Also, I did like the EBI all the way to the finals. I did EBI twice. And yeah, I didn't get my invite to the ADCC, but it's still here training, especially no-gi. Now passing the gi world, it's time to focus on this part of the game, and not going to be different than any other year.
Yeah. Pati, let's talk a little bit about your athletic background. Was it you did ballet for quite a while before you came into the jiu-jitsu world?
Yes, I was a ballerina since I was like 3 years old. My grandma is a ballerina, so my father is also an athlete. So my whole family has this athletic things. We all practice some kind of sports when we were kids, and in my case was the ballet, plus some other sports I did when I was like younger, but ballet was pretty much the base of my athleticism. Then jiu-jitsu, when I was 15, I started and didn't stop anymore.
Did you do both for a little while, or did you just change from ballet to
Yes,
jiu-jitsu?
I did both for about like 3 years until I started to compete. I got my blue belt, and I started to win tournaments and didn't have much time for ballet anymore.
Was there any things that you did in ballet that help you with jiu-jitsu? Was it maybe balance or timing or any of that stuff?
Yes, all of this stuff actually, balance and timing and flexibility and coordination, and memorizing the sequences and all these things, for sure. I think ballet helped me a lot in jiu-jitsu. Yeah.
I really don't know anything about ballet other than what I've seen. As a kid, were you a pretty serious athlete, or did the seriousness come with it as you kind of took up jiu-jitsu and got better and better at that?
In ballet, you mean? Or in
yeah. Have you always been pretty serious with your athletics?
Oh, yes. I've always been pretty serious with that. Like I say, my grandma was a professional ballerina, and so I was dancing in the big schools back in Brazil, in Rio de Janeiro, where I would do shows and presentations in the theaters and all these things. So I had always had to be ready for this. And I wasn't not much of a competitor, even I done some competition for ballet. I was not very much of a competitor, but the dance industry in general is very competitive. Even inside your school or wherever you are, So yes, it was pretty serious. I used to teach too, when I was very young, 13, 14, I was already helping at we call baby classes. So I've always been very involved with the dance and all this. I thought I was going to be own a gym and have teach ballet forever. That's what I thought when I was younger, until my maybe 18.
Yeah. Pati,
Yeah.
can you think back about that's pretty crazy that you were teaching at such a young age. Do you think that influenced the way you teach jiu-jitsu at all? Like maybe the way you show something or the way you explain something? Did you learn something in ballet that affects the way you teach today?
No, yes, for sure. Not just the way to teach. I've always besides jiu-jitsu, I've always liked to be a teacher. So I knew for some natural power or whatever, that I was going to be a teacher. I didn't know what I was going to teach. So I started teaching ballet. And then I worked when I went to university in Brazil, and then I teach Portuguese for foreigners in the school. So I was a teacher even before I become a teacher in jiu-jitsu, I've always had this teacher as a profession. And it's funny how, because in jiu-jitsu, I never thought I would be a teacher. I've always taught in jiu-jitsu as an athlete, and when I taught it professionally, but it didn't work different. I became a teacher in jiu-jitsu too.
Yeah. So where do you train at now?
I train at Checkmate headquarters under Leo Vieira in California.
How much of your time is spent teaching versus training for yourself?
I teach a lot. I teach about 20 hours a week, and I train about 4 hours a day, 3 hours a day, no more than that anymore.
Yeah, well, there's only so much you can train. You can only train so much, and then you get tired. But it sounds like a lot for both. You're teaching and training quite a bit.
Yes, for both, exactly. I had a hard time in the transition of being only an athlete, for being a coach. Especially when I teach 5-6 hours in a row, at the gym. daily, plus my training. For sure, it was really hard for me. I had problems like hard timing adjusting my diet and injuries because of that. So it wasn't no easy transition. It's not as easy to keep competing and have a high level and teach on them like that many hours a day. It was really hard for me. I'm still adapting and getting better at this right now, but still being, even I teach for 5 years already.
Yeah.
The last 2 years when I have this like 20 hours a week, help, it's not really fun. Yeah. On the body,
Yeah. When did you move to the U.S.?
I moved to the U.S. In 2012. Was a purple belt, and I moved to train at Checkmate La Habra.
Okay.
And I got my brown and black belt from Lucas Leite. So he's a black belt under Leo Vieira, and now I'm under Leo Vieira since I'm working with him.
Yeah.
The last 4 years. Yeah.
What was it? What was the move like? Was it hard or was it pretty easy because you had jiu-jitsu with you?
Yeah, I didn't expect to move. I came here for compete the Pan Americans and State Worlds. What it's like a 2-month gap in between these two tournaments, and so I planned to stay here for 2 months. But then all the things that start to happen, I realized that most of the competitions were here, and I was learning English and start to see opportunities to have sponsorship and working here. So I decided to stay and start to work to have my citizenship and stuff, so I could like work and stuff. I started doing that, and nevermore I left.
Yeah, but
not something that I planned.
Yeah.
Or that no, not at all. I came for a tournament, and just when I saw, I was just here already.
Wow, that's pretty wild.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
So have you always...
It's funny, I'm going to go back home I haven't been home in 7 years. I'm going back home now for the first time in August. And I left for a 2-month trip.
Wow. That's it's hard to even like wrap my mind around how you've done that. Yeah. That'd be hard for me.
Yeah, so even for me too. I can't imagine that over again,
So do you think you're going to be going back home more often from here on out?
Oh yes, I think so. I had like so many years when I was focusing in jiu-jitsu. Like I can literally say that these last 7 years I've done anything but wake up and go to the gym every day and don't care about anything but jiu-jitsu, for this whole 7 years. Even when my family come over to visit me, I would take them to the gym to do jiu-jitsu. So it was like nothing. I didn't stop to think of a trip or a vacation or anything that would I would think I'll go to Brazil if there's a jiu-jitsu tournament I'm going to fight. So I was in a mood going really hard for all these years, and doing some injuries, last year I decided to take a break. When I mean take a break, it's I haven't competed since the Pan Americans, and taking care of myself and doing other things, thinking of what is going to be my future plans and jiu-jitsu itself, and going back home, visiting my family,
Yeah. So are
the regular things that people do, but I haven't done.
I bet life's quite a bit different when you're taking that break, and that's a smart move to think about what you want to do long term, and
Exactly.
Evaluate some life choices.
Yes, I took a lot of advantage already of these non-stop training and going on this beat, but I mean, I'm almost 30 years old, and after 15 years of jiu-jitsu on top of me, 14 years, it starts to, my body starts to feel I can't just do the same anymore. So you need to start to make more smart decisions about what you're doing.
Yeah. You kind of hinted at maybe not like big injuries, but you had some injuries that you're working on healing up. Are you doing better?
Yes, I'm doing good. I had 2 ligaments, parts tear, LCL, both knees. So I have both knees ligaments not very good. They were not very good, and I kept competing. So I went through some losses. I didn't really want to go because I was trying to force myself to compete even when I was hurt. Until I really saw that there was no way to keep on going this way, I had to stop and take care of myself. So that's what I'm doing right now. Even I wish I could be competing and doing everything else, but maybe it takes some time to get back, take some courage to stop.
Yeah. You compete in nogi a lot. Do you train much with the gi, or are you just mostly focused on nogi?
Oh, no, I train in the gi every day, and I teach in a gi every day as well, I'm mainly gi training for sure. It's just really hard to make results in the world's gi as a black belt. I won the gi world as a brown belt in 2015 when I got my black belt on the podium, and ever since I couldn't hit the first place there yet. But I train actually even more gi than nogi. Just have more harder time doing competition in gi than nogi. I feel like it's more my style, nogi. I'm a wrestler too, and I think that helps me to have more of a nogi feeling.
Yeah, that's interesting. You train so much with the gi, and you do very well without the gi. That's really interesting.
Yes, I don't know. It's I've always trained gi and nogi, but I've never been I never competed in the nogi much until purple belt. Since I moved here to America, back in Brazil, it was mainly gi. So, yeah, I train twice a week in nogi, out of 7 other times in gi.
Wow.
Yeah, but I still do every week.
Yeah,
at least twice. Yeah.
Do you have any what are your favorite techniques you like to do?
Well, in the no-gi, I really like locks in general, gi and no-gi. So because of that, I feel like my no-gi game works well. But I really like kimuras and arm bars, and also I think that's why no-gi, it helps me too. Kimura grips are very strong and help you to different submissions in the no-gi. So, and not just submissions, but control. And I think it helps me to liking the kimura and the footlocks.
Yeah, that makes sense. If you were playing I don't know, spider guard or a lapel guard, it'd be a little bit harder to do that with no-gi, so it wouldn't go over so well.
Spider guard. I love spider guard. It's my specialty in the no-gi, spider guard, X guard. I really like all these transitions and lapels too. But like you say, in the no-gi, I don't have it, so I can use it. I gotta use the kimuras instead, the grip. So when I don't have the gi to make the lasso, I like lasso guard, like foot and bicep, all this kind of a grip guard. Since I don't have this, I have to work at kimuras. I feel very safe hold the kimuras to attack submissions and make transitions, sweeps, and back attacks.
Do you have any advice for a person who is trying to Kimura somebody who, like if you're training with a guy and he's quite a bit stronger, how are you able to do the Kimura, or do you have any tips to help keep that tight?
I don't use the Kimura to submit on this case. When I see the person is much stronger than me, when I attack the kimura, the person going to hold.
Yeah.
As the person hold, it makes a base for me. And then I use that strong hold of the kimura defense as a base for me to attack pretty much a back or a choke or arm, going transitioning to a back attack mostly, or a triangle.
That's great. So you anticipate their defense and you plan for that and actually use it against them a little bit.
Yes. What I mentioned the kimura is because by using the kimura, I have a base to attack other submissions and also attacks to, especially taking the back. I go for a kimura, people let go anything and hold the kimura, and I use that with transitions to take back. And then I switch to chokes or other things,
Yeah.
It's really hard to armbar someone that's stronger than you, so you need to find a way to the back.
That's good. That's good advice. And we all have somebody who's, stronger than us, and we've all been in a situation where we're trying to armbar somebody, and it's just hard to do mechanically with different sized people.
Mm-hmm.
That's great advice.
I like to do too, every time I attack a kimura and an armbar, I try always turn and spin, look towards the legs, so I force the kimura stronger, and I'll get smashed. I don't know if we're going to be able to follow that.
Yeah.
I think so.
Pati, you've been in a lot of very important matches, like big matches. What do you do to prepare mentally? If you're in the finals in 10 minutes or 30 minutes, what are you doing to get yourself mentally ready to perform?
The only way for me to feel like mentally ready is to have my body ready. I think every time I feel like I didn't train enough or I feel like I could have done something more, that makes me very nervous. So in order to not feel nervous, I try get trained back in advance, so that makes me feel more relaxed. But I don't get very anxious about 10 minutes or 20 minutes, because I've been I threw fight so much, and I know it's gonna be the time of the fight is gonna happen. So there's not I don't feel very anxious about I only have 10 minutes or 20. I actually most of the times I wish it was happening faster than it was happening. But I try before on the training, do everything as I do with the time that I have, so I don't feel like that, when I don't have time to do anything anymore. So I don't feel worried, but I feel anxious every time I fight. But don't think there's something you can do about that too.
Yeah, I like that. You get your body physically ready, and that helps.
Yeah, because then you're conscious that you did your best. When you think you could do more, then you're more nervous because you're not in your best. Oh my God, I'm I don't know. I think that's how I usually feel. I need to be ready. My body's ready and my mind is ready, and then okay, I can go.
What was it like? You've definitely carved out a niche with in the black belt division there. What was it like going from brown belt to black belt and competing? Was that pretty difficult to do, or did you do it pretty smoothly?
No, for me it was not very hard at all. Actually, when you're a brown belt, it's good because you don't have the responsibility as a black belt, but a lot of times you compete with them. So when I was a brown belt, I was competing against the black belts often. So when I got my black belt, I was already used to compete against black belts. What changed was I felt a little more responsibility, because I am a black belt too, and I don't like fighting lower belts because of that, because it takes away the responsibility and push that responsibility to the black belt. Yes, but and it was okay. It was a smooth transition. I think I felt harder, not harder, but when I first got my brown belt, I was scared, a lot scared, I foot locks and knee bars. It was all new for me. So when I got my brown belt, I was really concerned about it. But when I got my black belt, I was feeling like so good. I was feeling the best I was ever feeling in my jiu-jitsu, So when I won the world, and I finished my matches in the finals, and I was at the top, so I was like, there's nothing left here. I don't know. I felt like a black belt, and no, I didn't have much hard time making the transition because of that. I feel more after the years are passing as a black belt to keep up the motivation of the competition that I had in my first year or second, I feel like when the girls come from the brown belt to the black belt, they're super excited about it. So they come with some energy that is hard to have 5 years after,
Yeah. Do you remember what it was like that your first time winning that nogi world title as a black belt? Do you have any story about that?
Well, it was very surprising because I got my black belt in the podium at the Worlds in May, beginning of June, and the nogi Worlds was in November, so I had June, July, August, 4 or 5 months as a black belt. I didn't expect to win, I was just going. I just doing because that's what I do. I just compete every tournament. So I was just competing just to get better. And then I finished all my fights, and it was like, wow. It was surprising. It was a good surprise.
Yeah. That's so were you less nervous, you think, because you didn't expect to win?
Yes, I didn't expect to win. It was a good surprise. It was my first no-gi tournament, my second no-gi tournament as a black belt.
Wow.
It was very new in the belt. It was not even thinking on titles. When I first got my black belt, I wasn't thinking of the titles. I was thinking of the titles, but I was thinking of getting better to get the titles. That's what I thought. I would have a road, until I get ready to be a world champion, a black belt. And then it just came super soon, in 4 months. So it was good. I was like, wow, yeah, I made it. It was a very good surprise. I tried. I made it 3 years in a row. I finished all the fights in the no-gi. So it started to become my favorite tournament to compete ever since.
Yeah, that's really that's amazing accomplishment to do that so quickly and then in a row again and again.
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you. It's something to be proud of.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, you should be, and your coaches, I'm sure, as well.
Oh yes, but the most important of all of this is people actually during the years, having the kids I teach, so I have my kids around me and seeing how I was different and how I think different in each one of them. And, I think that the how can I say, the road, to it is also important, more important actually than the titles itself, for who was with me able to follow it day by day, especially my students, my kids, I'm glad I could use it as a good example for them, or, make them then leave that with me.
Did you start, when you started teaching jiu-jitsu, was it with kids or was it with adults class?
I started with females adults class, so girls only.
Yeah.
But I don't know, the kids have something with me. I've always had something with kids, and the kids start to join my ladies class. And then soon I was very focused on kids. So I've been working with kids, teaching kids since pretty much maybe 2014. Yes, 2015 maybe. And but first girls, ladies, adults, and then kids. And then now I teach everything, adults, kids, men, women, I have different groups, class for all kinds of groups.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why do you think the kids like you so much?
I think one is like, because I'm a girl, so usually mostly guys at the gyms and teacher, they're guys. So I think being a girl, and I also, I don't know what to say. I'm very like simple, and I like playing. I like being on the mat, and yes, I think that's what it is. I didn't speak a lot of English, so my vocabulary was very like limited, and they didn't care.
Yeah.
All of this, yes. I like to play, and I like to listen to kids. I see that a lot of times we go places and they have they have the kids table and the adult table. I go and I sit on the kids table. I don't sit on the adult.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of times adults don't really listen to the kids. They say, okay, fine, go play. And I always like stop to listen then and take them to do things with me, like trying to be friends with them. So they would be in the tournaments, and like I would be hanging out with them instead of just I'll say hi, So they would be like follow me, they want to be around me, So I think that's what it is.
Yeah, I think that they can feel it that you like them and that you also have fun.
I like it. I carry myself as a kid too. That's what it is, pretty much. I try to be like, they make me feel young.
What are your goals for kids when they come in and start to learn jiu-jitsu?
Well, I'll keep doing what I'm doing, teaching them, have like kids competing and with me, training under me for like 4 years. Some of them I sent to wrestling. They're like national champions. I have like what I do, what I try for, like I try to do what I can for them.
Yeah.
Inside like jiu-jitsu, and plus I send when I see that they have like talent for scholarship in wrestling and stuff, I send them to wrestling too. And like I said, try to follow them close, so I like keep them close so they see how it is my competitor life, and I try be around them like as friends, not just like need to feel like as a coach, And my goals are like always keep working with them. I want to like when they have my own gym, I still work for my professor, in the future, and I still want to compete some more. So taking care of my injuries so I can get some more titles and open my gym, work a lot with kids, not just kids, but I always will have like a special place for kids on my gym and classes for them where I'll be the teacher. I'm going to have nobody else but me teaching them and focus on them for sure.
Yeah, that's cool. Definitely, I think that's great for the kids to have you around, helping them and focusing on them and giving that like attention that you give them, because like you were saying, a lot of times adults just kind of ignore the kids table, and you go over there and hang out and spend time with them and get to know them better.
Yes, get to know them better. That I make them feel comfortable to tell me things, or to like hear my advices and don't think it's like whatever, So like if I care what they think, they might care what I think too, So it makes this connection.
Do you have like games that you play with the kids on the mats, or is it mostly just jiu-jitsu, or do you guys kind of?
We do games sometimes of the week. We do some games like they really like playing like simple games like dodgeball. They like soccer, but we do some jiu-jitsu games too, where like I put like a small belt, a piece of belt tied on their belt, like I pass through their belt, and I make them wrestle until try to grab the belt of the other person, so they can turn their backs. So they try to be like wrestle, arm control and stuff like that. I make a bunch of games. I make them jump ropes a lot. I use the belt to make them jump and make it harder, and make it also make two belts and make they jump distance.
Yeah.
So who can jump? I make all these games with the belts where I make them jump high or they jump farther, or just like we used to just circle the ropes for the kids to jump super fast, making faster and faster. Things like that.
Yeah.
Or jiu-jitsu games, start laying down, flat, side by side, whoever gets on the top first. Things like that they like to do.
Yeah. Oh, Patty, that sounds fun. So I guess I'll try to sign up for the kids class because that's also sounding fun.
Yes, I do it with the adults sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like making games with them. They rescue the princess, the flag, when you got to bring the flag to the other side.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, but the flag is a person. And you got to wrestle all the way to bring the person back to the other area. We do stuff like that. I don't like to play much games, but we have to learn to do something to make the students don't feel bored. So
yeah,
I do some of these games to make them have fun.
Yeah. How long is one of your kids' classes? Are they because I think too long, no matter what you're doing, they're going to get bored and start getting distracted. How long do you teach for?
I teach for an hour, but I have a bunch of students who do privates before. So some of my students do 2 hours in a row, 1 hour private, and then another hour group. Sometimes they do 3 hours of private, and then kids and basics. It depends of how focused the kid is, but anything after 2 hours, it's hard. The kid has to be really into jiu-jitsu. I have kids who does 3-4 hours, but usually kids that wrestle too, they're used to be under pressure and things like that. There's different kinds of students, different kind of goals, kids that just want to have fun, kids that just want to do some sport, and then I have kids that want to be champions, so they stay over,
Looking into the future, I mean, you said you're working on getting your knees healed up. Any idea when you're going to get back to competing?
I want to compete anytime soon. I have a belt at Fight to Win, a nogi belt. The 115 is mine, so I wanted to compete before I go to Brazil now in August, because I'm going to have surgery, and then I will not be able to compete for at least 3 months so I can recover. So I wanted to do this one fight before I go home and take a vacation so I could come back strong in the next January for the next season.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I'm going to have an opponent. They say they are working on it. I'm waiting. I hope to have an opponent and so I can have this fight done before I go. If not, I'll have to hold the belt for another 6 months.
So are you having your surgery in Brazil?
Yes, in Brazil.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope you don't go to Brazil and stay there for 7 years. And then,
No. 3 weeks.
3 weeks. You got
3 weeks. Yes, and then I'm back. Yes, now I'm back here. I have a lot of work here to do.
Yeah.
I have I say my sponsors, the Moya brand and the Red Bull we wear. I work with them here too, so I can just leave.
Yeah.
They gotta be doing work with the kids, and my life is here. There's no way.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit more about your sponsors.
Oh, my sponsors are Moya brand. My gi sponsor has been with me forever. Since I'm a purple belt, they have the best skis and sponsor a bunch of my kids to support the kids. I think that's very nice of them. And Red Bowie, that's this amazing CBD brand that's CBD is the future thing, right? It helps me so much with my injuries and everything that I'm passing through right now, injuries and stress, all these things that not training or getting injuries can get us through. Red Bull is helping me a lot with that. The CBD is life-changing.
Yeah.
Yes.
What is if someone wants to go look at one of your favorite gis, what gi would they look at?
My favorite gis, I like competing in the white gis. So, but my favorite gi they made earlier this year, I competed at Pan Americans with them. It's a blue with the orange embroiderings. It's really nice. And you can find them online on the Instagram. I post them all the time, Moya and Red Boy, both of them. I post them on my stories on my Instagram all the time. So you can find there through me if you guys want.
Is Instagram the best place to find you? Where else can they find you online?
Yeah, the best way to find me online is through Instagram. And it's really hard to answer every message, but I try answer most of them. And Instagram, even for work, I have my email work, everything over there, and makes it easier for contact, and everything that I do is on Instagram right now. Patricia Fontes.
Okay, I'll put a link to that on the show notes so that it'd be easy to find. Pati, do you have any last advice or training tips you want to share with the audience before I let you go?
No, I'm just want to actually say thank you for having me and taking some time to listen, talk, and hope that to be back soon to compete, and that you guys be able to see and practice some of my jiu-jitsu back again. And yes, while that I'll be working with the kids, trying to make them little beasts. And yes, more thank you for the attention.
That's awesome. Thank you for being on here. You're always a fun person to watch grapple, and so definitely follow her on social media and watch her as she goes and competes. So wish you the best of luck with getting healed up there as well. Thank you so much, Pati.
Thank you very much.
I want to thank Pati for hopping on the show with us, sharing some of her story and some advice as well. So thank you so much. Go follow her on social media.
You know, the more I think about it, think about how hard it is to win nogis back to back to back. You know, everybody's gunning for you. Everybody knows you won it the year before. People are looking for, and figuring they're going to meet you in the finals, thinking of, breaking down your game, game planning to beat you and to win it back to back to back. That's very, very impressive.
That probably gets exponentially more difficult as you. It does help that you're very good at jiu-jitsu.
Yes, yeah.
like you won it for a reason, but as people are trying to unlock the puzzle that is your game, that does make it more challenging, because the people you beat the year before certainly have more of an idea what you're going to bring to the table next time, unless you change it up a lot, I guess. But yeah, that's a really cool accomplishment. Joe, what do we have for the article this week?
So a buddy of mine, Randall Goodson, wrote an article, and we've got a short clip here with Randall and I discussing the article. Randall, welcome to the BjjBrick Podcast. How you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing good tonight, Joe. Thanks for having me over.
Good. Yep, we're live in the studio, myself and Randall Goodson. Randall was kind enough to write an article for us. 5 things he learned as a white belt at the kids class. Were you training with the kids? I mean, is that's what's going on?
That could help too, but no, I was there assisting the coach.
Okay.
So assistant coach, if you will.
Yep. Awesome. And how long you been doing jiu-jitsu when this opportunity came up?
So I started in April. This was about September. So about 4 months I was doing jiu-jitsu, and I was approached. All right.
So good. Nervous about it?
At first I was nervous, nervous as hell, but you kind of go into it. You fall into it, and it gets a little less nerve-wracking as you go. You learn a little more about how to talk to the kids and approach them, and then it's nothing.
Nice. So in this article, you knocked out 5 things that you've learned through this process. I like the first one, and you talked about details.
Yes.
Do you remember the first technique that you taught?
The first technique, I believe it was the mount escape, because it was a mount day in the kids' class. It was a mount escape, and I actually picked up a good detail from that I was missing for a long time, as far as how close to bring my feet to my hips when I hip up.
Yep.
and just learning that little detail improved me.
So you learn that by watching the kids, and you're trying to recall everything you've been told,
yes,
so that
I'm
you can pass it on to them.
So I'm recalling everything I've been told and thinking of a way that I can explain it differently or simpler, and then that helps me kind of understand it. Then I pick up things that I haven't been doing, but I notice helps, and I just spread that around.
Yep, awesome. You and me both, we need to break things down into the simplest.
Yes. I mean, I can only count to 5. That's why, so that's why that article's so short.
Perfect. And then, of course, you talked about patience, which I imagine. Have you learned patience, or did you find...
I thought I was a patient person before. And then, kids are just kids, and you can't fault them for it. So you just kind of got to get used to it.
Yep. So that's awesome. So, and then you talked about there's no mistakes, only lessons, and we all know the old saying that there's only winning and learning. There's not losing. And
correct. And it's about the same thing.
Yep. Tell us about number 4 here, how to be a counselor and a better teammate. Okay,
so sometimes, you get the kids come in, and you notice one of them's kind of off. He's not the same he is every day. And you approach him, and you ask him how he's doing, and you just treat him, I guess, kind of like a fellow pupil, and that helps you because you can help them throughout their day. And then you turn that around, and it's the adults class, you're rolling with your teammates, you notice one of them's off, so it helps you in that facet where you're helping each other.
Awesome. Yeah, we're all about teammates, we're all about family here.
Yes.
So I like that one. And I'll just hit number 5 in closing. What Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is really about. And I guess there's probably no better place than a kid's class to see. It's about having fun. It's about growing as a person, character, along with self-defense and everything else that goes with it. It's a big thing. So, yep, that's a good point there. Hey, Randall, thanks for coming on the show, man.
Hey, it's not a problem. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
All right. We'll talk to you later.
Awesome. See you.
All right. Bye.
So, I want to thank Randall for getting on the phone with me and discussing the article. Gary, I don't know if you had a chance to read it yet, but it was 5 things that Randall learned from teaching the kids class. So great article. Thanks, Randall.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. And, Joe, thank you for hooking that up. And Randall, great job on that. Opposed, you guys talked about a few of the things on the clip there, but I just like the idea that he's pretty new at jiu-jitsu, white belt, not brand new, but fairly new, and he's helping with the kids class, and he's not approaching that as like a burden or anything. Like he's still gaining things from this. I think that's really cool that. A lot of us go do a task like this or a job, and we do the job. We do a good job or whatever. But Randall's here, and he's actively gaining from this himself, and that's a great spot to put yourself in any time in life where you could get personal growth from something like this. So there's probably thousands and thousands of people teaching kids classes, but how many of them are trying to become a better person in that process, or a better grappler in that process? That's a great mindset, Randall. So I know you're going to do great as you continue with this.
Speaking of a great mindset, under point 5 there, I really like what he says, about what BJJ is all about. We teach our kids that you do not need superpower or loads of money to be a hero or help people, but rather you just simply need to try your best. Just like jiu-jitsu requires you to give your best effort in order to improve, so too does life. Yeah, and I mean, we talk about it all the time. Jiu-jitsu helps life. Let's go back to the email we received about how jiu-jitsu, helps you through bad times. And, if you just give your best effort, stuff is going to fall into place. And, I think Randall just had a really good point right there. Really great article.
Yeah, I think Randall got tricked a little bit. I think Randall was under the impression he was doing this to help the coach, I think the coach asked him to do this because it was helping Randall. You know, and that's kind of the beauty of it. It's a win-win situation, and we're happy to have Randall helping in the kids' class, and he's a great guy. Yeah,
if you're one of Joe's buddies and you want to write an article, get a hold of Joe. And if you are just a listener of the show,
Byron, you said if you're one of Joe's buddies.
Yeah,
should it be if you're Joe's only buddy?
Yeah, me and Randall, my only buddy.
we also have I was gonna say, if you want to write an article and you got something that you want to share with the audience or with the jiu-jitsu community, email it to BjjBrick@gmail.com, and we're definitely an avenue that is open to have to share different stories. And Randall, thank you for doing that, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah,
you train with him, Joe? Which location?
He's in Lake Jackson with me.
Very nice. Hope to meet him next year.
Yeah, he's looking forward to that. So, yeah, Byron's doing a little leak there. We're trying to do a BJJBrick event in Texas in the spring or early next year.
Yep, excited about that. What were you going to say, Gary?
I forgot now.
So did I. Oh, no. Guys, we have, I don't know, Joe seems to be the king of our Facebook thing, but I think it kind of rates a fan weekly or something like that. I don't know. We have a super fan. A top fan, Joe.
Okay.
Great job, man.
That's all I know about it, so go ahead.
Our super fan is one of our wives. And so,
is it my wife? Yeah. Okay.
Right?
Yeah, babe. Yeah. Hey, hon, I appreciate you coming on the Facebook every week and liking all my posts and being my biggest fan.
I'm confused. Was that your personal fan or was that the BjjBrick fan?
Oh, that's BjjBrick.
Yeah, she's a BjjBrick fan.
Okay, I thought maybe it was just your personal post she was liking, and then when you said it that way.
No.
But yeah, thank you so much for following us and supporting us there on social. Everybody else does that too as well, but we only have one super fan this week, and it happens to be Joe's spouse, Joe's wife. Oh, that's awesome. I was laughing about that one. I don't think my wife's ever liked anything on our. Not that she just doesn't see it. I don't know if she likes the page.
Most of my posts she likes.
Well, those are back when you were when you're dancing guy. The original Lethal Weapon.
Lethal Weapon 1. Yeah.
The last Lethal Weapon is more of a digestive problem you're dealing with.
Well, it's more of a misfire, Byron.
Guys, I want to thank our Patreon supporters, and I want to call out our three most recent Patreon supporters, Cody, Clarence, and Emma. Thank you guys for the support on Patreon. If you want to help this show continue to do its thing and possibly grow and get even better, you can go to the link in the show notes or go to Patreon and type in BjjBrick. Either way, we really appreciate your support. And as a token of the support, we send you out a BjjBrick gi patch. Scratch that. It's now 2 temporarily until supplies last. You get the old, what are we calling it? The
throwback
patch with just Gary and I, the original logo before we finance a second logo with Patreon money largely. And then also you get the new BjjBrick patch with the three amigos on there having a great time. Choking each other and foot holding and toe holding or whatever. Anyway, also send you out a BjjBrick sticker. And if you want to join the private Facebook group and send me your Facebook profile to BjjBrick@gmail.com and send me that link, and I'll get you added as a friend and then get you invited to the group. We have lots of side conversations, mostly talking trash about Gary on that group. It's kind of fun.
I really enjoy it.
Yeah. It is. I don't know. It's fun to have our fans poke at you because they learn how. They kind of learn what gets you, Mr. Lethal Weapon. And that's really cool. Anyways, Patreon's been a tremendous support, And so, definitely want to highlight Cody, Clarence, and Emma for the support on there. And I hope you guys are listening to this episode. And I want to say this, hopefully I remember to say it for a while longer. If you've been supporting us for a while, and I've had a few people email me and say, hey, send me the new patch. But if you're already a Patreon supporter and you want a new patch, send me that email, bjjbrick@gmail.com. Say, hey, I would like a new patch. Here's my current address. And I'll get that mailed out right to you as quick as I can. So, that's cool. I don't know. I want you guys deserve to have them. You're supporting the show. I don't want you to think, well, he already mailed me out one. And it was like a year and a half ago. You've been supporting the show. I want you to have the patch, and it's a really nice patch. I'm really happy with the way it turned out. Guys, we talked a little bit about it off the air. We have, a podcast is fairly up to the creators to how it flows, and we'll have an article every week, and sometimes we have a question and answer segment. I'm thinking about, having one or the other, so we don't just have like a real long thing towards the end. Another segment. But let us know your opinion, and definitely if you're sending us a question, obviously that would be lean more towards a question one that week. But thinking about having an article or a question and answer segment instead of both. So we don't have a question this week. Next week we'll have a question, but we won't be having an article. I don't know. If you have a strong opinion, BjjBrick@gmail.com again, or just if you're in the Facebook group as a Patreon supporter, let us know there, and we'll try to. We want you guys to enjoy the show as much as we can, so just trying to make it a little bit better, a little more streamlined. Guys, I'm excited about next week's episode.
Who do we have next week?
Well, thanks for asking, Joe. We have Josh Myers, a friend of ours. All three of us know Josh, and he's been to both BJJBrick camps, and he's a cancer survivor, and he largely discovered his cancer from kind of a jiu-jitsu accident that wouldn't have happened, obviously, if he wasn't training jiu-jitsu. So he credits jiu-jitsu with literally saving his life, and we talk about that. He discusses his story, and then also just a really cool guy to have on the mat. So really excited to bring you guys Josh's story next week. So until then, stay sweaty, my friends.
And don't forget to shower.
Train hard, train smart, get better, guys. We'll see you on the mats.
Gary, keep your lethal weapon in a safe place.
Oh, it's safe, all right.
Cool, dry, and locked up.
It doesn't need to be locked up, Byron. It doesn't move much anymore.
Thank you for listening. I hope you find the time today to roll. After all, the best way to get better at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is to do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.